Hey everyone, welcome back to PSYCHIANT, a sanctuary for your mind and soul. Today, we're rediving into a timeless piece of wisdom from the Stoic philosopher Seneca. We suffer more often in imagination than in reality. These words, written nearly 2,000 years ago, hold a profound truth about the human experience. But what do they really mean? And how can they guide us toward a life of greater peace and clarity? Let's explore this together. At its core, Seneca's quote is a gentle yet powerful reminder of how our minds can become our greatest allies, or our worst enemies. The human imagination is a remarkable gift. It allows us to dream, create, and envision possibilities beyond our current reality. But it also has a shadow side, the ability to conjure fears, anxieties, and scenarios that often feel more painful than the events we actually face. Seneca, a master of Stoic philosophy, understood this deeply. He observed that much of our suffering stems not from what is, but from what we fear might be. Think about it. How many times have you lain awake at night, replaying a conversation that hasn't happened yet, or imagining a future where everything goes wrong? Maybe you're worried about a presentation at work, picturing yourself stumbling over words or forgetting your lines. Or perhaps you're anxious about a relationship, imagining betrayal or abandonment. In these moments, your mind paints vivid, often catastrophic pictures. And here's the catch. Those pictures feel real. They grip your heart, quicken your pulse, and steal your peace, sometimes more intensely than the actual event ever could. Seneca's insight invites us to pause and question, why do we let our imagination amplify our suffering? The answer lies in how our brains are wired. Psychologically, humans are built to anticipate threats. This was a survival mechanism in ancient times. Imagining a predator in the bushes kept our ancestors alive. But in today's world, where physical dangers are often replaced by social, emotional, or professional challenges, this same instinct can spiral into overthinking and catastrophizing. We imagine the worst, and in doing so, we suffer before the storm even arrives. Transition. Screen shifts to a split-screen comparison. On one side, a person nervously imagining failing a test. On the other, the same person taking the test calmly, with minor mistakes but no catastrophe. Let's break down Seneca's quote further. When he says we suffer more often in imagination, he's pointing to the frequency of our mental anguish. How many of the things you've worried about actually came to pass? Studies suggest that around 85% of what we worry about never happens. And even when challenges do arise, they're often less severe than we feared. The reality is usually manageable, a hiccup, not a hurricane. Yet in our minds, we've already lived through 1,000 hurricanes before the first raindrop falls. Now, let's talk about the intensity of this imagined suffering. When we're caught in a loop of worry, our emotions don't distinguish between what's real and what's imagined. The fear of losing a loved one can feel as visceral as the loss itself. The dread of failure can paralyze us more than the failure ever would. Seneca's wisdom here is almost like a wake-up call. Why endure this pain twice? Why suffer in anticipation when reality might be kinder, or at least no worse, than what we've conjured? So, how do we apply Seneca's insight to our lives? Stoicism, the philosophy Seneca championed, offers practical tools to tame our runaway imaginations. The first step is to focus on what you can control. Our thoughts, our actions, our responses, these are within our power. But the outcomes, the opinions of others, the twists of fate, those are not. When we obsess over what we can't control, we give our imagination free rein to torment us. Instead, Seneca urges us to anchor ourselves in the present moment, where reality unfolds one step at a time. Another powerful Stoic practice is premeditatio malorum, or the premeditation of evils. This might sound grim, but it's actually liberating. It involves briefly imagining potential challenges, not to dwell on them, but to prepare for them. By calmly considering what's the worst that could happen, and realizing you could handle it, you strip away the exaggerated power of your fears. For example, if you're nervous about a job interview, ask yourself, what's the worst outcome? Not getting the job. You've survived rejection before, and you'll find another opportunity. This exercise shrinks the monster in your mind to a manageable size. Mindfulness is another ally here. By practicing mindfulness, whether through meditation, journaling, or simply paying attention to your breath, you learn to observe your thoughts without being swept away by them. You start to see your imagination for what it is, a storyteller, not a fortune teller. Over time, you can train yourself to say, "This is just a thought, not reality," and let the worry pass like a cloud in the sky. Seneca's quote isn't just about reducing suffering, it's about reclaiming your peace. When you stop letting your imagination run wild, you free up mental space for creativity, gratitude, and joy. You begin to trust that reality, while imperfect, is something you can navigate. And here's the beautiful paradox. By preparing for life's challenges without exaggerating them, you become more resilient, not less. As we close, I invite you to reflect. What suffering are you creating in your imagination right now? What would happen if you let go of that story and faced reality as it comes? Seneca's words remind us that peace is not the absence of problems, but the courage to meet them with a clear and grounded mind. Thank you for joining me on this journey of reflection. If this resonated with you, please like, share, and subscribe to PSYCHIANT for more insights to nurture your mind and soul. Until next time, stay kind to yourself and to your imagination.